Hi everyone, and welcome to this presentation about what is developer experience and what are we doing about it at Criteo. Please note this presentation was part of the Criteo University, the event hosted during the 2022 Criteo Summit in Croatia. I have the opportunity today to make it again, in case you missed it back then, but also in the context of the Criteo Masterclass and of the Criteo DevXDays, the first internal event dedicated to the developer's experience. It's the perfect opportunity to shoot this presentation again, as it focused on this very basic but very essential question: what is developer experience? A very quick introduction of myself. I'm Clément Beaune, Criteo for more than 5 years, and I spent these 5 years almost entirely inside the factory that is part of the R&D. So if you wonder what could be a factory in a company like Criteo, you are in the right place, and we will get back to that later on this presentation. And I'm currently the lead of the Codex team, Codex acronym for Code and Developer Experience. And that may put me in a good position to try to answer the question asked in the title of this presentation: what is developer experience? Complementary question: what are we doing about it at Criteo? And if you are not a developer, that's okay. This presentation will be high level and it requires few to no developer skill. It's even at first, it was even a presentation that targets non-developers. So let's go to the agenda, and the titles make it quite clear. The first part will be to see what is developer experience. And I will from now call this developer experience DevX. So it will try to understand what is DevX, its implication, its impact, and understand why it's so important. After that, we will focus more specifically on the DevX at Criteo, its historical relation with developer experience, but also current and future initiatives that are still going on the company. Finally, some questions, but not now because we are not live, but feel free to ask your questions on the Codex Slack channel, and we will be very happy to try to answer you. So what is developer experience? Can we answer straight away? No, we cannot. It's not that easy. Indeed, even if developer experience is as old as software development, the awareness of the notion of DevX itself is quite new, just few years. We could even say that it's busy. The big tech companies, they try to create their own definition and standards, but for now, it's not really officially shared among all the players. And for example, Google will define it as making it fast and easy for developers to deliver great products. For Slack, it will be making the development experience seamless for all engineers. And for the Financial Times, and I like this one, it will be to make things as easy as possible for product developers, whether that be providing tools, clarity, support, and standardization. So we can see common points in what we'll just discuss there. But so far, we are still at the beginning of the understanding of developer experience. And why is that so hard in the end? Well, it's because it's about feelings. We saw in the previous descriptions, fast and easy, seamless, as easy as possible. This is all subjective. In fact, we could have guessed that it is subjective from the word experience itself. All experiences are about feelings, and for example, what we can call the user experience when you navigate a website, for example. Is it loading fast? Is the interface clear? But what is fast and what is clear? You will have different interpretation from one person to another. And it will depend on many things like the experience that you have, taste, knowledge, context, patience, background. These are all subjective points. Well, yet that's not a reason to not try to define developer experience. In fact, in addition to the ones we saw above, the literature manages to extract some common criteria that we will review together. And to better understand them, we have first to review together what is software development. So I know that maybe some of you are not software developers, and from the outside, it can often look like wizardness. Indeed, being a developer is foremost writing and committing code. Well, no, in fact, the reality is that coding is just a little part of what we do. Okay, I'll give you an example. First, there is the definition and the specification of the feature to develop. Usually, you will see that with the product teams, for example. Then you have to organize the development of this work with Scrum meetings, redaction of design docs, etc. Now you have to make sure that you have a workstation and an environment properly set up for the development. You can finally start to code the feature, but you will also have to provide the tests, the technical documentation, and you will have to wait that it compiles. So let's say that you have your feature ready, but it's still on your own computer. So now you have to push it so that it can be reviewed by your peers and that it can be verified in a remote build environment to make sure that it works not only on your workstation, but also on a more standard environment. Okay, now that it's integrated, you can say that it enters the CI. CI is for continuous integration, where it is built and tested again in a control environment. You might have to perform other tests, manual tests, extra tests, like pre-prod environments. You deploy it, you see how it interacts with the other softwares. Then you can eventually, when you are very sure of your product, of its quality, that it won't break anything, you can deploy it to production. Okay, good, but that's not done because from there, you will monitor that everything continues to work in the real environment, and you will continue to gather the feedback of your users on your new feature. That's good. That just makes you go back to the step number 1 to define again a new iteration for your product, etc. As you saw, coding, it was just a very small part of the life of what we can call a development cycle. And I just described here a very basic workflow, each product having its own specific steps. So now we can start to figure out some important topics that will have impact on this development experience and on the development cycle. Obviously, coming with the concept of development cycle, there will be this question of efficiency of this workflow. So how automated it is, what tooling is provided. The more manual step you will have, the less tooling you will have, the more risk to introduce error, the more time wasted. Is it fast? Again, fast has to be defined. That's some concepts we can have in methodology, but it is obviously a very important factor. With so many steps, there must be a good feedback loop so that you are notified as a developer on the advancement in this workflow. Is it resilient? A step failing for a reason that is unrelated to the developer's will is going to be very painful and is going to annoy the developer. So you guess that the direct implication of the notion of is cognitive load, or what we can also call toil. For example, how many times are you interrupted during your work for totally unrelated stuff? A meeting that didn't bring anything valuable for this specific product? Working on debugging your developer environment because you are missing some tools? Maybe a network issue when the automated scripts were testing your project? There is also that at the end of the day, were you able to really focus on what mattered, implementing your product? This is highly impacted by the organization and the culture values you have in your company. The notion like empowerment are very important. Do you feel trusted? And what are the best practices that exist in the company? Is there awareness about them? Are they well documented, visible? Also, what is your work environment? Okay, COVID is not that far. We talk a lot about remote. How do you make people work together in a remote context? What about the people who will prefer to go to the office, to have laptops, your laptops connected to the large screens, to share some time with the colleagues on the cafe? This is all part of the quality also that you can have there and at your own place if you decide to work remotely. What are the tools that will allow you to link your work in the office and the other people that work remotely? We started to talk about it a bit, and the last part will be about the people and what are the interaction with others. So obviously this interaction between people that will be on site or in remote, but also are the people working on their tasks that are asked to work on certain tasks have the right qualifications? Do they have the right trainings? Also, another thing about people is about ownership. So is there a clear ownership of all the components in this development and in the company? If you depend on other teams, how do you interact with them? Do you have a fast feedback when you discuss with them? Do you have the process that allows to have a good communication between people that work on the same project on different teams? Okay, that being said, next legitimate question, it can be, why should we matter about DevX in the end? Because, okay, we just want code and we don't care how it's made, right? No, it's not like that. It doesn't work that easy. In fact, everyone in a company that produces software should matter about the developer experience. Why is that? First, and most obvious, the productivity. I don't think I will have to explain and to elaborate for hours about the importance to have the best time to market possible. And all the criteria we just saw, workflow efficiency, culture, people interaction, cognitive load, etc., they all have a direct impact on the developer productivity. Second point, the importance of quality. Yes, okay, you can have features faster. And in the end, you just have to remember that it will come at a cost. If developers don't have enough time, enough trainings, qualifications, don't have the right tools, don't have the right people, and don't know to who discuss to go further on the feature, you are going to skip things like tests. You are going to not be able to maintain a clean code base. In the end, all these things are going to create technical debt. And remember that you will always have to pay your debts. It might be in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. The iterations will take more and more time, and incidents in production will occur more and more frequently. In the end, you will create dangerous situations and see the productivity fall inexorably. Last but not least, good reason that if you need it, it will be the happiness of the developers. And okay, it's not just be simply empathic about and care about people, but it is also about job attractivity, retention, engagement. If you have a company with poor developer experience, how do you attract new people there? How do you retain your developers? In the end, who will want to work for you? And what quality are they going to produce? And what rhythm, which productivity? So there is a key takeaway from this slide, and it is that good developer experience means good product. And a good product means happy customers. And happy customers mean flourishing business. So we should matter. Okay, we probably have enough now to switch to the second part of this talk, the state of the art of the developer experience at Criteo. So in terms of DevX at Criteo, we can start by going back to where we come from. I'm no historian, so please bear with me if I take big shortcuts. Criteo is not a young company anymore, and it was created in 2005. It was created by geeks and focused on specific products like retargeting, and it made its success. But also with success comes rapid growth and diversification. So for the R&D and developers, this comes with big challenges because how do you scale? How to keep your culture and identity when the number of hires double or triple in a short amount of time? How do you maintain the highest standard for your products when everything must go fast? The truth is that the R&D had a very hard time in the early 2012. Releasing new codes was getting harder and harder and longer. And ultimately, it just stopped work. It crashed. Yes, concretely, it means that we were not able to release any new product for 6 months. So not even talking about the business impact of such events, but what about the developer experiences in such context? Probably very, very poor. So we try to understand what was wrong. And it appeared that we were missing a clear interface between the product engineers and the infrastructure. Some Criteo started to reorganize the way we work, and based on the Google SRE model, site reliability engineering, we were able, with the creation of the SRE department in 2014, to get back on track. So the engineers that we call DevOps were part of this department, and they were doing the interface, and they were both developers and operationals. They started to build tools to create a system and automation for the build of the product. Best practice to reduce the toil, to improve the productivity overall of the development. So we were back on track. And if you are curious about this incident we just discussed and want more details about it, I invite you to check that other Criteo DevXDays presentation from Emmanuel Guérin that is called Before and After the Red Pill, a Moab Story. So SRE was renamed Platform a few years ago. I think it better reflects our own interpretation of the project and of the mission of this department. So time for some self-advertisement. I promised to get back to an explanation of what could be a factory group in a tech company like Criteo. Here we are. So the factory is providing tools and services to the developers themselves, directly to the developers of the R&D. And I can talk about few missions we have to make the developer experience the best we can. Could be the very first mission that we want to execute and to fulfill. So we work on providing pipeline systems that the software are built so that the softwares are built the fastest possible, so that the new features can reach the production in not a matter of months, obviously, but in matter of days and ideally matter of hours. And that's the ideal vision that we have here. It could be defined as continuous deployment so that the developers will just have to focus on their own code. And once they are done with this part, the system is going to automate all the other steps so that you don't need any other manual intervention to have your code being pushed to production. Around Around the continuous deployment pipeline, we ensure the code quality is respected. We run tests, we apply review workflows for the quality. We add observability and alerting on the application. And also we propose way to develop and experiment in controlled environment, remote environment for developers and experimentation. And so on. I could list them all, but there are a lot of them. Note that in the platform, it's not only the factory that helps the developer experience, you will also have the PRE teams that work very closely with the product engineerings and help them to put all these tools and systems in place. They will also help them to optimize some parts of their work. They will help them to do some operational work and some support on their application. This is all reaching the same goal, which is to ease the developer experience of the product engineers. And obviously, I'm not talking about all the faults that are in platform and in the infrastructure and the core infra and all these teams that provide all the basic tools. The rest of the platform trying to abstract it to the developers so that they can really focus on what matters to them, writing the code of the applications and the products that we want to sell. So as you see, we try to act on important aspects of the developer experience as defined earlier, on the workflow efficiency, on the cognitive load, etc. But it doesn't mean that we are the only one. In fact, there are many initiatives all across the R&D and even above that aims at improving DevX. And there is this culture we built over the years that is very strong and deeply linked to the developer experience. So to illustrate that, here are a bunch of non-exhaustive lists of what might sound familiar to you, some initiatives that exist inside the R&D, but also above, that have direct impact on the developer experience and the culture of DevX at Criteo. So we can start with the 10% project. So it's where developers can take a part of their time to work on initiatives. And we got few projects that came from that, like the Make app or Get It Bot. This was all made by people, from people, because they wanted to improve things inside the Criteo. Second, there is the Voyager program. So any developer can contribute on a totally different team and topic for a few weeks. We have the virtual teams and also the internal mobility. They are here to make you that you will never feel that you are stuck in a single role at the team and single role and single team. You will always have the opportunity to work on different topics, either temporarily in virtual teams or either long term. You can just go from one team to another with no penalties, obviously. And you will have the opportunity. I think all these topics just show how you can have these opportunities to always discover new technologies, new people, new team, new subjects, and feel that you will continue to grow in Criteo. A quick mention on the OKRs and the more recent MIR processes. So these processes, they are here to define the team's goal with a product or internally in the platform and infrastructure. And we are even seeing that this process always keep upgraded. I mean, we iterate on them. We see what works, what doesn't, how this communication between the product and the teams can be the best possible so that at the same time, the team can ensure to develop and to have a clear roadmap and also to make sure that the product can have faster iteration so that the product's new features reach the market as soon as possible with a good time to market. We have a yearly, so twice a year, 360 peer review process inside the R&D. And this is the good opportunity to feel that everyone can grow as an individual in a context where It's not only one manager who will do the review of you, but also your peers. So it will ensure that it will be fair at some point. So there are the think tanks, but also the guilds. So these are cross-team and departments ways to drive good practice, drive technology excellence, and to ensure that departments share the same roadmap and share the same vision when it comes to improving the way that we develop. There are the hackathons. Yes, every year there is this ceremony that stimulates minds, drives new products, encourage people to collaborate and innovate. And it is not only restricted to R&D. You might know if you did some that it's open to everyone. So everyone can have the impact on how to improve the way we develop at Criteo and what products we can innovate and innovation in general. So remember the summit? I talked about the summit, but we can talk about all the events and the nice workplace that we have. I think this is all about making sure that you feel good where you are when you are at work, that you feel connected to your other peers, that you can meet them during nice events. And surely it will help to get teams more collaborative. Ultimately, this will improve the developer experience. I have not mentioned this, but I think it's worth saying that obviously the open policies that we have at Criteo, like the remote policy, where everyone can choose where they want to work and when they want to work remotely or on site. So these policies really help to feel that you are in control on how you want to work and that you can guarantees you the best environment to work, depending on your tastes, obviously, with flexibility. And of course, there are these trainings. So I mentioned the Criteo DevXDays, the Criteo Masterclass, the Criteo University also that made this presentation happen. So I think it's the best example to show how we always try to share and learn and have people to be engaged on how Criteo can be a better place with knowledge that is shared between everyone. Well, you got the idea. I think I could go on for a while on this. What I hope is that you can see that the developer experience at Criteo exists for a long time. Most of these initiatives are very old, and it might not always be perfect, but at least we have that with us, that it's a culture that makes everyone empowered to act and improve it. So teams that are dedicated for the developer experience, like the platform teams, for example, so we will continue to monitor and gather feedback on the developer experience to improve again and again on each iteration. By the way, it was a 2022 tech priority. But yes, there is this message. When it comes to developer experience, it's all the Criteos that are involved, not only the R&D, also product teams, TA, ops teams. Because you remember this little line here? It's that together only that we can have a good developer experience. Therefore, with good experience, good products, therefore happy customers, therefore healthy business. So we are close to the end of this presentation, and if you had to remember only 3 things, it would be these. First, the DevX is a new and very subjective topic. There is no right answer to define and tackle it. Yet we have good hints and ways to measure and improve it. 2, developer experience, DevX, has a direct impact on the quality and productivity of the products and the business. So it also enhance the engagement and happiness of the developers, therefore consolidates the growth and culture of a company. And third, Criteo has a lot of initiatives going on developer experience, from dedicated teams to individuals initiatives. Everyone, and not only the R&D, has a role to play. And that's it. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, please ask them on the Codex channel or email us. That will be fine also. And I'm very sure that you will be well introduced now to follow the next trainings of the Criteo DevXDays. Have a good day and thank you very much.